What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another episode of Player Ratings as Spurs smashed Everton by 4-0, and some top performance in there as well from certain players. But let's get into these player ratings, starting off with the goalkeeper, Vicario. I felt like I'm going to give him a 7. I thought he was rarely untested throughout the game. He made one
rarely
tested, sorry, throughout the game. Second half, I felt like he made a good save from Jesper Lundstrom. That was the only real save I think he made throughout the game. And I think, like, when you look back at last year against Everton, when we came increasingly unstuck during the set pieces, I felt like he did a really good job this time around.
Yeah, I think that was the only save I can remember of note. It was a very quiet day for Vicario, to be honest. Everton did have a couple. I gave him a 7 as well. That one save, pretty much all he had to do. I thought actually he did some really good sweeping in behind when Everton kind of threatened to get in behind. But it was Vicario came out well, he was passing out the back, no mistakes. Wasn't very adventurous with it, but no mistakes, that's the most important thing. On the occasion Everton were kind of pressing high, there were some high claims, so he dealt with everything that came his way, but it was a pretty quiet afternoon for him.
Yeah. Pedro Porro up next. I'm going to give him a 7 as well, maybe 7.5. I think like he did everything that was asked of him in defensive aspects. I felt like nothing got past him throughout the day. He was really hard to beat. 2 blocks, 1 interception, 3 tackles, which shows you how dominant he was on that side. From an attacking standpoint, I don't think he got involved too much, which is kind of unlike him, but I think from a defensive standpoint, he put in a really top display.
Yeah, I think Maddison was in general over set pieces, but I think he took a couple, Porro, which were decent. Actually, a few times they were laying it off short to him, and I thought he was doing quite some good stuff with it from the short corners. He dealt with Dwight McNeil fairly easily. Dwight McNeil could be a tricky customer on his day, and he's obviously got a very good cross on him, but I don't remember too many crosses Dwight McNeil was able to get in. I think Porro was a big deal with that, and he didn't get caught out of position too many times. I also gave him a 7. I thought it was a solid performance from Pedro.
Next up, Cuti Romero. I'm going to give him a 9. I thought he was absolutely fantastic throughout the course of the game. He ended up the game with a goal, but I felt like he could have had 2 goals and even an assist or 2 to his name. That's how good he was. Lovely over-the-top balls to Maddison, which really gave us. Maddison should have scored at least one. It was just bad touches that alleviated him from that. But the goal that he did score, getting ahead of James Tarkowski, who obviously is very good in the air, I thought he did really well in that aspect. And the volley as well in the first half, which another day that hits the back of the net. So from an attacking standpoint, he was creative, he got on the score sheet, and he was brilliant. And from a defensive aspect, I thought he was even better. I mean, nothing got past him throughout the day. 6 tackles on the day as well, which shows you how dominant he was, and kept stepping into that midfield, being aggressive. I mean, I think his performance was nearly faultless.
Yeah, I gave him a 9 as well, and I thought, I could probably say this for the other centre-back, which we'll talk about in a minute, but I think very few centre-backs in the Premier League are capable of that level of performance from Cuti Romero on and off the ball. Off the ball, dealt with Calvert-Lewin very easily. Again, Calvert-Lewin could be a quite tricky player on his day, especially with Corey coming, making little runs, but I thought Romero was absolutely dominant. Anything that came near him, he was gobbling up, anything over the top. He was making sure he was using his physicality to make sure the ball went out of the Vicario bad defend. That was a really simple day for him. Set pieces wise, I thought he was good, but on the ball he was another level. I don't know another centre back on the ball who can do what Romero was doing this game. The way he took that first touch, which led to that volley you were talking about, that was like a seasoned striker. He took it on his chest. Like he took it on his chest from the left side, kind of chested it into his own path to allow him the first time finish. Honestly, that was Dom Solanke. I wouldn't have been surprised.
Touch of legends, man.
It was incredible from Romero, and obviously he got his goal with a bullet header on the inside the 60-yard box, used his physicality. But I thought the most impressive thing was his passes over the top. He did 2 absolutely pinpoint passes to Maddison on the day, which Maddison will feel like he could have done better with, and it's just passes in between the lines as well, setting time on attack. There was one beautiful pass I remember, driven out wide to Odobert early on in the game as well, which was a beautiful ball. And when he's in that kind of mood, there are very few, if any, centre-backs better than him.
Let's move on to Mickey van de Ven, his partner, who again I thought was absolutely unplayable on the day, and I'm going to give him a 9 as well. I thought from a defensive standpoint was pretty pinpoint. He made some really good interception in the first half from Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I think about on the half an hour mark or something around that time, which was brilliant. That could have been a goal for Everton. block shots, interceptions, tackles on the day. Well, he actually didn't make any tackles, but look, what's really going to write the story for Mickey van der Ven is that assist towards the end of the game. He picks the ball up on the edge of our area, storms forward, nobody can touch him, and he just lays it off to Sonny, and Sonny does what Sonny does best, and that's put it in the back of the net. But Mickey van der Ven, I mean, how can you explain this guy anymore? Because he just seems to be getting better and better and better, and I feel like these two defenders just complement each other so well.
Yeah, I think he must be watching videos of Sonny with that kind of run, and then he sets up Sonny for the goal as well. I thought that was an exceptional piece of play from Van der Ven, especially so late in the game, you know, when you have tired legs, and he was just ran through them like an absolute steam train. They couldn't catch him, but I thought off the ball as well defensively, dealt with Calvert-Lewin, dealt with everything over the top perfectly, albeit there was probably little to deal with on the day. And I thought as well on the ball, a lot more proactive, getting on the ball, passing it forward quickly into feet, progressively as well. So I thought it was a really, really great day. I also gave him a 9 as well. I thought, again, perfect display from Van der Ven, got his assist, and I thought he was absolutely imperious on the day, and what a performance.
Destiny Udogie up next. I'm going to give him a 7, and it was a fairly busy afternoon for Destiny, getting up and down that left hand side. I felt like he was inverting a lot more than Pedro Porro, where Pedro was kind of sticking out wide for the most part, but Udogie was playing the usual inverted role. I thought defensively he stood up to his challenge pretty well, and from the attacking standpoint I felt like, you know, he was getting in good positions again without really being found. But you know, can't really fault Destiny for yesterday's performance. I thought it was pretty solid for him, and I feel like when you're looking at Destiny in these performances, we have seen better performances from Destiny. I just feel like he's, you know, still coming back from that injury, and you know they're trying to give him as many minutes as possible.
And that's what Adam said after the game. He said he was a bit fatigued, and that's why he was taken off from Jets bench after the game. But near the end of the game. But I thought Destiny had a really strong showing again. I thought he didn't let Harrison get at him, to be honest. I know Harrison had that one chance. I wasn't really Destiny's fault, but I thought he dealt with Harrison on that side really effectively. I thought he got forward pretty well. I don't remember too many opportunities where he was able to actually create a chance, but I remember there was one nutmeg down the left-hand side which he set himself up to ball across the face of goal. And he had a few moments like that where he kept possession in really awkward scenarios and then just allowed Tottenham to sustain attacks, and really positive again showing. I also gave him a 7.
Alright, Yves Bissouma up next, and I'm going to give him a 9 because of the way he responded. I think absolutely brilliant. A lot of negativity around Yves Bissouma over the last couple of weeks, and he has responded in the absolutely perfect manner, grabbing that goal just outside the box, and there's just no stopping that. There is absolutely no stopping that, and we need to see more of that from Bissouma. Straight out of the top draw, kiss the underside of the bar, and smashes in past Pickford to set us on our way 1-0. But it wasn't just that where he shone yesterday. I felt like in the number 6 role, he was really hard to get past, tackles, interceptions, aplomb. But what I was really impressed with was his passing on the day. How many times did he spray that pass out to Wilson on there? And he was spraying it all day long. I think, what's the stat about his passes? Long balls, he tried 7 and 5 were successful. That just shows you how good he actually was. And it wasn't just the long passes, but the short passes as well were all absolutely spot on. And he put on, I think he put his best display in the Spurs shirt since the early stages of last season. That's how good I think he was.
Yeah, and it was really great to see him in that kind of mood. I gave him an 8 actually, not a 9, but I thought he was fantastic on the day. I thought he was really getting back to his best. He was looking very, very confident. The passing was on point, where sometimes in previous games it's been a bit lazy and a bit lax. So that he put that right in this game, which was really, really important. And obviously the goal he scored, which I think he can be doing more of, got into the edge of the box. You see how Rodri sometimes, you know, just pops up in that kind of area, and when Man City are struggling to break teams down, you know, he pops up with goals in that kind of area. I think Bissouma can be doing more of that, and he showed with that goal what ability he does have when he can get a strike off. He did score a few goals with Brighton as well from that kind of range, so definitely something he's more capable of, and really happy for him to get off the mark in the Premier League for Tottenham with an unbelievable strike. And I thought just throughout the day, he was doing little things in the team to keep us ticking over, keep us in control of the game, and it was a very, very confident Bissouma, which was really, really great to see. So hopefully that carries on.
Yeah, I feel like as well that maybe what's happened over the last couple of weeks with Ange getting obviously very frustrated with him, it could be the kick up the arse he needed, because, you know, things were going a bit sideways for Yves Bissouma. So hopefully he can really keep up these standards now. Next up, we're going to talk about Dejan Kulusevski. I'm going to give him an 8. I thought, again, he was absolutely brilliant. 4 key passes on the day for Decky, and an unbelievable assist in there as well with, he had about three men round him at one point, and with his trickery with his feet and his physicality with his body, they just could not get the ball past him, and lays it off lovely to Yves Bissouma, and we all know what Yves Bissouma did after that. And it wasn't just that, I felt like he was really a massive handful to deal with in that number 8, well, they say number 8 position, but maybe number 10, even number 9 with how far he was high up the pitch. The third, if you look at the average position, he was the highest player for Spurs on the pitch all day long, and he's proving to Ange why he should be in the starting 11 with that performance.
Yeah, really happy that he came back in the team. I also gave him an 8 actually, and I thought, we said before the game that we just can't continue to leave Decky out. He's in too good a form. We have to find a way of fitting him in, and Ange did that, playing him in next to Maddison, which I've been calling for. And I thought he was he proved Ange that he can do that job, and he proved Ange right. And it was an incredible performance from Decky. Unfortunately, he only lasted 67 minutes, but I thought he was using his quality and his physicality in duality brilliantly, and played a massive role in Bissouma's first goal with a brilliant piece of trickery to dribble past 2 players in a tight situation where I think a lot of players in that situation would have lost the ball, but he's able to keep it and lay off, and Bissouma had the presence of mind to play a good pass and get the goal. I thought it was just a nuisance all day, and I think this role on the right hand side of the central midfield really suits him, because it allows him to cut inside, but also allows him to drift wide on occasion if he finds space there as well. And we know, because of his experience on the right hand side, he can be effective in those spaces as well on occasion. So it allows him to drift there, and I thought he did some really good stuff on the right hand side as well. But it allows him to get closer to goal, get on the edge of the penalty area, link up with the likes of Maddison and Sonny as well. So, and I'll be really interested to see him in that role when Solanke's there, and have that backboard, he can play 1-2s off and things like that. That's going to add another dimension, I feel. So that was really, really brilliant from Decky, and really brilliant performance, and showed why he should be in the starting 11 right now.
Yep, and James Maddison, I'm going to give him an 8 as well. Carried on his good form to the season. I thought maybe Leicester was a better performance in the first 45, but I still think he's getting himself involved so much, keeping those goal contributions coming, with another assist on the day for him. And what I like about James Maddison, the guy just never stops throughout the game. He's dropping deep, he's getting forward, he's knitting the play together, he's providing moments of quality. The one thing I want to see better from James Maddison is taking shots from far out and outside the box, which I don't think he's done enough since coming to Tottenham. And we all know he's got that in his locker. We all know he can score goals from range. So I'd like to see him do that a bit more for Spurs, but I felt like yesterday he was just everywhere, to be honest. And you're looking at Kulusevski, maybe the highest on the pitch. Well, Maddison was just literally everywhere, and he was creative. He was a handful to deal with, and these are the performances that we love from James Maddison. So 2 good performances in a row to start off the season. Hopefully, a lot more to come.
Yeah, a really good effective performance from Maddison. Really good set pieces on this one. Obviously, got the assist for Romero's goal with the set piece. One really close to the free kick on the edge of the box, but went just wide as well. And I thought consistently well, we were looking quite threatening from set piece, and a lot of it was due to Maddison's delivery. So I give him a lot of credit as well. He was a bit inventive, sometimes playing it short and trying different angles and things like that. So we found him finding different methods of attacking, different methods of hurting the opposition. And I thought in general play, him on the left hand side, I thought on a few occasions he linked up really well loaded there and on that left hand side, and he was just being a nuisance for Everton. And that was the beauty of having him and Kulusevski on the pitch together, because they're both so creative. And there's sometimes I feel like Maddison's next to someone like Sarr, you just double up on Maddison, and that stifles us. But they just couldn't deal with both of them together in tandem, and it was really, really delightful to see. I also gave him an 8, and really a strong performance going from Maddison. Looks like he's finding his form again.
Finally. Next up is Wilson Odebear out on that left hand side, debutant for Spurs. I'm going to give him a 7. I think he did well throughout. He lasted 66 minutes, and it was a surprise that he was thrown straight in, especially on the left on his first game, even though the left is his most favourite role. We thought he was coming in to play on the right hand side of the attack. He didn't provide too much in terms of from a creative standpoint, but what he did do, he made his left back and other players as well double up on him, second guess. They didn't know what he was going to do. He was providing good link-up play with his teammates, and he was consistently trying to run at his defender, which we haven't seen from a Spurs winger in a long time. So as much as I don't think it was, the most unbelievable display, it's a display where you it just leaves you wanting more. It whets your appetite for a guy that can actually dribble at his defender. So, I was happy with what I saw.
Yeah, it was a really promising debut from Odegaard, and you've got to remember he's only 19, still very young. He's only had one season in the Premier League, so with all that caveats, I thought he looked confident. I thought he was taking on his man relentlessly, and that's something we've missed with the wingers in Andrew's system. I felt like with Son, Decky, and Johnson, sometimes they all kind of pick their moments to take on their man, and sometimes they lack that kind of fearlessness. They're worried about giving away the ball. They check back too often and without really committing players. But when Odegaard got the ball, and he got quite a bit of the ball in this game, especially in the opening 45, he was constantly taking on the fullback, opening up space, going inside, going outside, making the defender think twice about where he's going to go, and opening up spaces for his teammates as well. And that's a really invaluable thing that he did for the team. And yes, you could argue he could have created more chances. He could definitely work on his final ball. Sometimes he got out-muscled in situations where he could have been a bit stronger. But I think that's all going to be a learning curve for him. And I think the most vital thing is that he's confident, he's committing players, he's beating players as well, and if he can work on his final ball, he's going to definitely be getting goals and assists regularly. And I think it was a really encouraging first 45, and definitely asked different questions of the Everton defence, which other winners sometimes don't.
Yeah. Brennan Johnson up next. I'm going to give him a 4. Unfortunately, another poor display from Brennan out on that right-hand side. He just doesn't do enough for me. He doesn't take on his man. I think one dribble attempt throughout the whole 90 minutes that he was on the pitch wasn't successful. I don't think he was off the ball that good enough either, and when he did get into positions, his crossing was poor as well, where 3 attempted crosses, 0 successful. So Brennan's got to be doing a lot more for me in a Spurs shirt, because the last couple of games haven't been at the races.
Yeah, disappointing. I agree. The worst player on the day. I gave him 5. I just thought it was a bit predictable whenever he got the ball. A few times he had a good opportunity to take on his man and get the ball across the face of goal, and I think Mikalenko just got the block in, wasn't able to get the cross in. On the few occasions he was able to get the cross in, the quality was not up to scratch. He was over-hitting them, not finding his man, and they weren't those kind of effective balls across the face of goals you can offer. In terms of chances on goal, I can't remember too many he had getting involved in. It was a disappointing day from him.
Let's say he had one big chance missed. I don't remember.
I'm trying to remember what that was. He was a bit involved in the first goal for Bissouma, where he did link up with Decky for it. He passed into Decky, who did most of the good hard work, to be honest. But it just wasn't. In terms of the final third, I felt like he was the one least likely to make something happen, to be honest, and I felt like he was just quite comfortably dealt with from the defender. Whereas even with Odegaard, you could argue in terms of effectiveness they were similar, but I think just the difference with Odegaard is when he got the ball, he made the defence worry. You could see it, the fear in their face. He made them move, he made them shift around. With Brennan, he would there wasn't enough variation. He kind of either ran down the line, or he just cut the ball back to the fullback. And I don't think he made the Everton defence think enough, so needs to work on that.
And lastly, from the starting 11 is Son Heung-min, our captain, double on the day. I'm going to give him a 9. I think Sonny was absolutely brilliant. He was playing the number 9 role, but he was kind of playing it in a Harry Kane-esque mode, like dropping deep a lot, quite a number of long balls in there to try and find Odegaard, to try and find Brennan, and I think he was doing it really well. And there was one moment on the edge of the area when we won a free kick that Maddison took. The quick feet that he showed at that moment was absolutely brilliant. The first goal, obviously catching Pickford off guard with a poor touch, and the speed that he showed to get there was brilliant. Obviously just had an empty net, one of the easiest goals that he's going to get this year. And the second one was a lovely finish with all the hard work done by Mickey van der Ven, but you just knew Son was going to finish that, and what a finish it was. So I think Sonny was brilliant, creative he was, and got 2 goals on the day, and he just did tireless work for the team, as we always know he does.
Yeah, it was a really strong showing from Son. He's looking sharper and sharper, which is really encouraging. I thought this was definitely a really sharp display from him. Playing the number 9 against this level of opposition, you would have thought he would have struggled to get involved in the game. And I think in a weird way, in general play, he actually wasn't that involved. I know he dropped deep quite a bit and did a few passes around the halfway line, but I didn't feel like he was that involved in our build-up play, especially around the penalty area. The goals he obviously did, what he did do, obviously he had that long shot from 30 yards, which deflected and Pickford had to save. And then the other two shots, first one was he tackled Pickford. He was leading the press really effectively, got that goal. And yes, Pickford takes a bad touch, but you have to be bloody fast, like Son was, to get there and take advantage of that. He was really effective in his pressing. Sonny leading the press really effectively. And if you take a snapshot of where Pickford picks up the ball, and you just take a snapshot of how far away Sonny is, he's still really far away. And I know that again the touch was bad, but he had a lot of ground to make up. He did it really well, got the tackle and scored. And then obviously the other goal, him on the left wing this time after the breakaway from Van de Ven, was able to get on the left hand side and finish it into the near post. So really good play from Son. But in a weird way, I don't think it was like his best game overall in terms of like how he was combining with the teammates and stuff like that. But it was just a really effective showing. I gave him an 8 on this occasion, 2 really good goals, and I thought a really strong showing.
And this is what happens. People keep writing off Sonny time and time again. Every single time he responds with big performances, and I think that's exactly what he did today. Yesterday. Absolutely massive performance from our captain Sonny. And that just teaches you, do not write off Sonny. And as well, what I really love to see from him in this game, how many times, we've been talking about it in the build-up to the game, get him in those positions where he can have a crack from, where the Sonny zone, like we like to call it. And I think he was doing more of that in the game yesterday, getting in those positions. So great to see. In terms of the subs, I mean, the game was more or less done when the subs came on, but Richarlison came on with 25 minutes left for Odegaard.
It was only 2-0 at that point, wasn't it? Was it 3?
I'm not sure what the score was, but I mean, anyway, I'm going to give Richarlison a 6. I mean, I felt like he came on, some good energy about him, some nice touches, a nice dribble down there, but yeah, I'm going to give him a 6.
Yeah, obviously, yeah, he came on, went up front, Sonny went right back out to the left. Didn't really impact the game too much, unfortunately. It wasn't really good. I don't remember too many shots and too many efforts on goal. He did alright in terms of his build-up, but yeah, I don't think it was the best showing from Richarlison for the 25 minutes. Wasn't really that involved.
Pumping back to Sarr, I'm also going to give him a 6. Came on with about 20 minutes to go for Decky. I think he added some energy into the midfield and some extra legs into the midfield that maybe we needed at that moment in the game. But yeah, not much in it, not much of a massive impact.
I gave him a 7. I actually thought it made a decent impact, Sarr. And it was, again, I think at that point we started to tire of it. We needed a bit of fresh energy, fresh ideas. I thought Sarr did that. He was pressing really high, won a few tackles, was causing a few problems for Everton. Where, look, at that point, Everton were threatening to get back in the game, I remember. Lindstrom had that chance and they were, getting a bit on top of us. But I thought Sarr came and just steadied the ship quite a bit. So I gave him a 7.
I agree with that. Archie Gray up next. I'm going to give him a 6 as well. Came on for Bissouma in the number 6. Again, helped us, gave us some extra legs in the midfield, but I don't remember too many bits of outstanding quality in there.
Yeah, I thought he was calm, composed, he was playing forward quite a bit. So obviously, more minutes he's getting in the Premier League is really beneficial. We didn't do too much wrong. Coming on in a difficult situation. So obviously not a difficult situation in terms of we're leading, but I think it was 3-0 the time when he came on. But very physical midfielders up against. I thought he dealt with it really good, and just when he got the ball, played it simply, played it forward, and was decent. So I'm going to give him a 6.
Jed Spence as well. I might even give him a 7. Jed Spence. He came on with about 15-16 minutes to go for Destiny Udogie, who looked like he was fatigued. He looked very tired when he came on. And Jed Spence, I like the attitude and application he came on with. He came on with a bit of a point to prove, in my opinion. And it was interesting that Anne did go for Jed Spence on the left-hand side. I think that kind of confirms in my mind that Jed Spence is going to be the backup for Destiny going forward this season, potentially at right back as well. We're going to deploy him in both positions, but I do like the attitude that Jed is showing at the moment.
Yeah, I gave Jed a 7. I thought it was a really good impact, and there was one occasion he got down the left-hand side and put a decent ball across the face of goal and did quite well in that situation. I thought he obviously Udogie was tiring, so it was good to get those fresh legs on, and I thought he acquitted himself quite well, so I gave him a 7.
And last but not least was Lucas Bergvall, who came on for the last 10 minutes. I mean, I don't think we need to give him a rating because the game was literally completely done by then, but a few flashes, but nowhere near as involved as he has been the last couple of games.
Yeah, at that point it kind of turned into a bit of a training game. Everyone was passing it around, like Tottenham kind of stopped going forward. So a bit of a shame for him on that point of view, but he still was able to show a bit of quality. But yeah, can't really rate it.
And last but not least, Ange Postecoglou. I'm going to give him an 8. I think a really good managerial game from Ange. I think he picked the right team. Kind of caught us by surprise, but I was really happy when I did see that team. A lot of attacking talent. Decky and Maddison in the midfield together, and it worked to a plumb, didn't it? We battered them. We were in complete control for 90 minutes, and the scoreline reflected that. And I think when you saw a bit of tired legs in the midfield, he changed it. So I've got no bad word to say about Ange for this game.
I gave him a 9. I thought it was a really brilliant decision to go with the starting lineup that he did go with. I think there was a lot of decisions to make in the lineup, but the fact that they went with Decky next to Maddison to add that extra quality up front. They went the fact he went with Son in the 9 to lead the press, which he got a goal from. Odebest straight in as well, which I thought he had a promising debut and added something to the team. And the way he's dealt with the whole Bissouma situation has been perfect. And you can clearly see Bissouma, as much as he's been disciplined, has no ill will towards Ange. And obviously went over to hug him after his goal as well. So I think he's dealt with that situation really well, and he's getting the best out of him as well. So
he's a top man manager, isn't he?
He's brilliant, and I think subs at good times when we needed that extra little bit of energy, and we brought some subs on at 2-0, we ended up winning 4-0. So I think it was a top managed the game really well. So top performance from Ange, I gave him a 9.
Alright, well there you have it. That is a player ratings 4-0 win over Everton. We move on to Newcastle away. Let's hope we can get something from that game. But we are, after 2 games, 4 points, so should be a bit better, but I think there are a lot of reasons to be positive after this weekend. So let me know your player ratings in the comment section below. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, come on you Spurs.